Now, it's been a long time since Drupal was simple enough to be able to understand all of the potential API pieces that you could work with. Most of us deal with a portion of hooks or APIs that are relevant to the work that we do. And in Drupal 8, things don't get any simpler. So we can expect that there will be a whole slew of things under the hood that we will never really wrap our minds around or use. And so even though this list is daunting, it's nothing new about Drupal that there's more here than we'll really ever use ourselves. What's different though is that all of these form kind of an API. We can access any of these services from our code in a reliable way. So even though we might not understand it, it might make sense to read through these items and get a sense of what's out there, because maybe they'll be useful to us down the road. Now if we did that, we could just do a file search again for services.yml and just go through the list of services.yml files and look at the different services and just try to get a sense of what they might be for. We can line up the service with the class that it uses to instantiate the object, and then we can look at the documentation for that class to get a sense of what it really does. However, Drupal compiles all of these services into a single PHP file so you can see them all in one place. This single PHP file is the actual dependency injection container. These services.yml files define what goes into that container, but then the actual container is created automatically. So if you want to find where that container is, one thing we can do is just search for one of these service names, because it should show up in the code base. So I'm going to use a different keyboard shortcut to open up a search to search across our entire project, which is the entire Drupal 8 code base. For me, it was Command-Shift-F. And I'm going to paste in the name of this service and do a find to search. And you see it's searching through a bunch of different places. And over here is the search. And on the right-hand side, you can see a preview of where this line is found inside of a file. And you can scroll through that. So this is a nice way to preview a file before actually opening it up and cluttering your tabs. So just in case you're unfamiliar with PHP Storm, let me explain the structure of these results. Here's the line that this particular text is found in. Here's the file that it's found in. Here's the folder that that file is found in. And then here's a general grouping. If we wanted to clean up this search a little bit, we can explore the different options over here. Like if we wanted to remove directory, that makes it a little bit easier to see the files that we're dealing with because there's one less level to look at. And if we know that we're looking for a particular file type, we can even collapse the results and just look at the files where these results are found. So you can see we have cachefactory.php, a test file. This is our core services that we have open already. We have another test here, and then we have this crazy file name right here, and this is the one that we're looking for. Every time the dependency injection container is created, it generates a new hash for the file name. And if we expand this, we can see where this service is referenced in it. I'm going to double click on one of these in order to open up that file, and I'm going to hide the search for now. So this is a really big file. We can scroll through and you can see it goes on forever. But we can break this down into two parts. At the very top, we have the constructor for our service container prod. And in this constructor, it creates a map from the name of the services that are registered. These are the same titles that you see in the services.yml files, and it aligns them to a particular function name. And if we look at this function, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to do a find inside of this file. And you can see here's the definition of that function. And what it does is it says return this services, and then it passes the name of the service. And then it's assigning a value to this, which is new, and then the name of the class that was aligned with the service if we looked at the services.yml file. And this is also passing the arguments that we define in our services.yml file. And if we look at all of the functions in this file, they all follow the same pattern. What they're doing is just instantiating an instance of this class with whatever parameters need to get passed to it. And even though it's returning that value, it's also setting that value in this services. And the services attribute here is really where we're going to get that instance after the first time it gets created. We of course don't want to run this function every time we want this object because it's clear that each time that this function runs, it's going to create a new object. So when we think about how we're going to use this dependency injection container, calling these functions must not be a part of that. even though we could get something that would work for us, we don't want to access these directly. So there must be some other way that the Drupal code base is accessing these